Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Barth. I'm a Public Information Officer with Pacific Northwest Team 2, and I'm happy you've been able to join us for a virtual public meeting for the August Complex. The August Complex is currently, as of this morning, 1,028,801 acres. It's 75% contained, and there were, as of this morning, 4,610 personnel assigned to the entire complex. For the virtual public meeting tonight, we're going to hear updates from each of the 4 zones that are managing the August Complex. Starting off here in the Northwest Zone based out of Eureka, we have a couple of speakers that we're going to provide tonight, including our Incident Commander, Rob Allen, who's going to be also introducing an incoming Incident Commander, Evans Quo, and then we're going to hear an operational update from our Operations Section Chief, Kyle Cannon. Again, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to be monitoring your comments live on Facebook. This will also be recorded. Our folks that are monitoring on Facebook are going to be trying to answer the questions that you've got, and then also feed some of those that are coming back to us so that we can answer them later on tonight. After we finish up here in the Northwest Zone, we're going to go to the Northeast Zone to have an update and some presenters from that area, and then down to the South Zone, and then over to the West Zone. Again, as we go through the presentations, we'll then come back and do a question and answer period after you've heard all the presentations. And I appreciate you joining us. And again, we hope that you can engage with us on Facebook and share this with your friends and family who are looking for updates about the August Complex once it's recorded at the end. Thank you. And next, I'd like to introduce our Incident Commander, Rob Allen.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rob Allen. I'm the Incident Commander for Pacific Northwest Team 2. We've been here now for 14 days, and through the help of a lot of partners and a lot of cooperators, we've been able to get a lot of really good work done. We came in 2 weeks ago after starting on the southern part of this fire, saw that there was a need up on the Northwest to help out the Alaska team that was here before, and I'm sure many of you have heard from them. So we picked up the battle from them, came up here, we were able to add some of our people in, add some more overhead and some leadership, and then work really closely with CAL FIRE and some of our other partners to work on this North Zone and pick it up. For the last few days that we've been able to get a lot of things working, getting a lot of stuff opened up, trying to get things back to normal. But as we have been working through another really long season, it gets to the point where we time out and we need to hand it off to somebody else. So we've worked really hard to build a good package and set the next team up to be successful. I'll introduce Evans Quo here in a minute, who's the Incident Commander for Great Basin Team 1, who's filling in with us. They'll be taking over tomorrow morning, and I'll let him talk about where they're going to be going in the future. Thanks very much, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Evans Quo. As Rob mentioned, I'm the Incident Commander for Great Basin Team 1. We've been here for about a day or so, interfacing with Rob's team, and they've handed off as a really good package that we feel confident that we're going to be able to implement. So we're looking forward to serving not only the local forest, but also communities and managing this fire. We're also looking forward to working with the other teams on the South Zone, West Zone, and East Zone. And then also not to be confused, we are the Great Basin Team 1, and then our sister team, Great Basin Team 2 with Tony DeMasters is managing the Northeast Zone. So thank you very much, and we look forward to being here.
Good evening. I'm Kyle Cannon, Operations Section Chief for Pacific Northwest Team 2 with an operational update. So last Friday, we were able to complete control lines across the entire Northwest Zone, as well as complete a burnout along Double Gate Ridge east of Ketten Palm. Saturday's rain was very helpful in helping us secure this entire area, and at this point, things are looking very good. So currently, we are still mopping up along Double Gate Ridge in here, and we're looking for opportunities to clean up this unburned fuel between the main fire and our control lines in order to make sure that fire stays in place. Moving north along the ridge, we're in full patrol status in here, working with CAL FIRE Team 5. That's all holding real well all the way to Coffee Pot. We also have hand line and dozer line down into the west fork of the Van Dusen River, and we're looking at opportunities to clean up some unburned fuel between our control line and the main fire in that area, as well as fuels dry. We are also continuing to patrol along Green Mountain all the way down to the Van Dusen Road, as well as further east out towards Lake Ruth, so Ruth Lake. So everything's looking good in there. Along the Ruth Lake in the community, we still have a presence in there, mopping up around structures to ensure that everything is holding in there and patrolling along that road all the way to 36. In addition, our control line is still holding from Highway 36 down to the South Fork of the Trinity River. Everything's still looking good there. Finally, on the north end of the fire, we're looking at contingency lines in case the fire comes back across the West Fork of the Trinity River. We have we're improving the 12 road along South Fork Ridge, as well as multiple locations tying from the ridge down to the South Fork of the Trinity River. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I wanted to thank all our presenters here at the Northwest Zone with Pacific Northwest Team 2. Again, as I mentioned, we have a lot of speakers that we're going to be presenting on each of the different zones. And just as a reminder, we're going to be sending it over to the Northeast Zone with Great Basin Team 2. And then we're going to be going down to the South Zone with Southwest Area Team 1. And then over to the West Zone with CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 5. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our partners on the Northeast Zone. Over to you.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Bobby Filbert. I'm a Public Information Officer with Great Basin Team 2 here on the Northeastern Zone of the August Complex. So tonight we're going to bring you an update from our Operations Section Chief and our Incident Commander. And so first I'd like to start with the suppression update, and for that we're going to bring up Britt Davis, who's our Deputy Operations Section Chief.
Good evening. I'm just going to go ahead and start off right where Kyle left off, and that's over here on the South Fork of the Trinity. Big area for us that is a big part of our focus at this point is up in Little Bear Wallow Creek. We've got a number of lines prepped. We're pretty well done with our primary and alternate line construction. We're actually hanging fire up down in the bottom of that creek and have been working it with helicopters for the last couple days, hoping that we can just hang it up there and not actually have to burn out that drainage. If we do, once we finally get the conditions that are right for that, we're already prepared to do that, have all the tools we need in place and all the people we need in place. Continuing down past Progeny, got a little bit of cleanup there to do, but that's pretty small scale stuff, and they're ready to go with that once the fuels dry out enough. And then below that on the 14 road, we are just mopping up, and that is looking really solid. Continuing down into Division Kilo, we've got this piece of line right below the Post Mountain. We've been working really hard on that for the last several days and are really feeling confident with that. Expect that's going to start turning into black control line over the next couple days, so really happy with the progress we got there. About 4 or 5 days ago, we got half a battalion of Marines, and they have allowed us to make a lot of hay on this next long stretch along the 35 road. Lots of good mop up and securing going on, and that we're getting a little bit more containment every day, so really happy with the progress there. Then we get into what we're calling the Begum Thumb, and this piece was our biggest priority when we showed up just because of its alignment down Begum Creek that could have taken us into Platina and Begum. We got on that, and we just finished lining that one yesterday. So that is now fully lined, and we're in there mopping and securing that right now as well. And then we've got a couple of IHCs that are in the process of taking it from that thumb down into the Buck Creek, and expect to have that tied in the next 2 days or so. Continuing out of there, we are basically just in mop up and patrol, and then suppression repair. In a report, at this point, I'd like to hand it off to Tony DeMasters, Incident Commander for our Great Basin Team 2.
All right, thanks, Britt. Again, my name is Tony DeMasters. I'm the Incident Commander here with Great Basin Team 2. Much like what Britt was talking about, we've got a lot of great work that's been done with the ground resources out there. So I just want to recap of where we're at with our priorities. And so starting up here in the Northwest, again, under the Little Bear, Wallow, Progeny is a priority, down along underneath Post Mountain, and then coming down into the Thumb there in Begum. So those are our top 3 priorities that we're really focusing on. And why those are our priorities is that we want to keep this fire south of Highway 36. We want to keep everything this direction of 36 as we move through time. And so again, we got about 1,400 personnel. We want to be strategic. We want to be surgical with each one of these 1,400 personnel. We got approximately about 160 miles of fire perimeter from the northwest all the way to the southeast. And so we want to be very methodical of how we're deploying these resources in order to maintain and continue our containment as we go through time. We've done a lot of coordination and communication with the 3 counties that we're working within. That's Trinity, Shasta, and Tehama counties. And so those communications and the coordination is going there very, very well. And as an incident management team, we're working with Pacific West on the northwest part of it, the south and the west. And so we're all trying to work interactively together as one unit and share those resources. And so thank you very much for attending the meeting, and we look forward to any questions you may have in the near future here. Thank you.
Thank you for those updates. And so at this time, we're going to go ahead and send it down to the south zone of the August complex.
I'm Michelle Fiddler with the Southwest Area Incident Management Team, Public Information Officer. This evening, we'll have updates for you from our Incident Commander and our Operations Chief. So with that, I'd like to introduce Incident Commander Alan Sinclair.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Sinclair with Southwest Area Team Number 1. So we've got the south zone of the fire. We've been here about 4 days working on our mission. And right now we've got a main priority that is in the Middle Eel Creek, Middle Eel River drainage. That's some open line. It's in some very rugged country. And we are working in coordination with CAL FIRE Team 5 to make sure that we get that piece buttoned up. We do have a significant amount of suppression repair, and so that's the work that needs to be done once the fire is contained and controlled, to go back in and repair those lines that were used to stop the spread of the fire. So a lot of ground to cover, a lot of work to be done. We are working with the other zones. So a lot of people that we're coordinating with, working with partners like CAL FIRE, Mendocino County, and others. So we're glad to be here, and I will pass it on to Jay Lusher for an operational update. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jay Lusher, Operations Section Chief, Southwest Area Team 1. Our primary priority is in the middle fork of the Eel River in this area here. We currently have 4 dozers and 2 hotshot crews and a few other supplemental personnel that are putting in lines. We get about 50% of our indirect line in today. We're anticipating to get most of that line done tomorrow and continuing prep work in that area to take a couple more days to be able to work on that. We've also got a bunch of helicopters working in there and utilizing some unmanned aerial systems to give us more constant and precision monitoring to the heat signatures that are up there, so we can precisely work on that with our helicopters. As Alan said, we have a lot of suppression repair work around the rest of the fire. So in coordination with that, we're monitoring the fire both by air and by ground. We do have a lot of unburned islands in the middle of the fire that are going to continue to put up smoke over the coming days and weeks. In the suppression repair, we have folks on the ground that are evaluating those control lines, both interior to the fire and on the current fire edge, for the status of when we can begin to repair them, what work it'll take to repair them. And we're putting that through a strategic process to identify the highest priorities to where we can precision put that work to get the most bang for our buck to protect those areas as we move forward. It's going to take a lot of coordinated effort with the limited resources that we have across the fire zones overall to get that suppression repair work done. Thanks, and I'll turn it back over to Michelle.
Thank you. With that, we will be transitioning over to CAL FIRE Team 5 to give us an update on the West Zone.
Information Officer for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 5. Tonight we'll have an operational update from our Deputy Operations Section Chief, Chris Trinidad, as well as an update from our Unified IC Sheriff, Matt Kindle.
Good evening, Chris Trinidad, Deputy Operations for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 5. If you join me on the map, I'll give you an update of what we have going on. So currently up in our Branch 11 Division Kilo Kilo, we've made really good progress over the past 2 weeks or so as the fire had came over into our DPA, about 425 acres. Crews were heavily engaged in that area for several days as we continue to be challenged with rollout that ignited the fuel below and would make uphill runs. So we were successful over the past few days of getting line all the way around that and being able to mop up the area where we don't have a threat on our line currently. That piece of ground up there in Branch 11 in Southwest Trinity County will be turned back over to the Humboldt unit starting tomorrow for a 3-day plan. As we move down south of Kenton Palm and make our way all the way down into Travis Ranch area, into Holes Creek, things are looking really well in there. We've been in the mop-up phase for several days, and we're confident in this piece that nothing's going to come out of there. As we move down into our Branch 7, Division Union and Division Tango, we conducted a backfire operation there about 4 operational periods ago. That was between the Asa Bean Ridge and the Pine Ridge. We were successful in burning that area out. That was roughly 3,000 to 3,500 acres. Currently mopping that area up. Some sections have 300 to 500 feet of depth. It did consume the fuels very well, so we're pretty confident in that area. Everything south of there that we had previously worked on is still in the mop-up phase and looking well. Thank you and have a good night.
Good evening and thank you for tuning in. I'm Sheriff Matt Kendall, Mendocino County Sheriff. As you can see, a lot of the work that's been done along Mendocino County into these areas, we're looking really good. CAL FIRE was handed what I believe to be an almost impossible task, especially folks who are from the area. I grew up here, and a lot of this area is just the steepest, nastiest country you've ever seen. It's not very conducive to firefighting efforts, but they were able to get ahead of it in a fashion that I didn't think was going to happen so quickly. We still have a lot of concerns in this area out by the Eel River Workstation, where Forest Highway 7 and Forest Road M1 are. We have a lot of concerns because we have more fire weather coming, and fire weather is dangerous enough during those red flag warnings when there's absolutely no fire on the ground, and we still have a lot of unburned fuel in here and a very active fire. We're going to continue working on alert warning evacuations. We do have concerns that with some of the weather that we're seeing coming up the next week or so, this could become a potential problem again. But we all came into this realizing that this was going to be a marathon and not a sprint. I wanted to thank everyone for really, truly just heeding warnings, doing what we can for our friends and neighbors, and looking out for our fire crews as well. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our operational update. I'll turn it back to Chris in the Northwest Zone.
All right, thank you. I want to thank all of our colleagues around the August complex for all those operational updates. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to have an opportunity for some questions and answers that we've been getting in from Facebook. So all of your comments that you're sharing with us, we appreciate that. We want to answer those, and we're going to do the same as we've done with the operational updates, go around the complex with each of the zones to have some attention given to the questions that you're asking. So again, I thank you for that. Starting here in the Northwest Zone, I wanted to acknowledge that a lot of the questions that we've been getting regarding Highway 36, EVACs, closures, specifically the areas of Kenton Palm, Xenia, Mad River Road, Ruth Lake. And for that, I'd like to ask our Incident Commander, Rob Allen, to come up and address that question.
Well, good evening again, everybody. When we look at evacuations and road closures, we're looking at it from several different angles. One is public safety, firefighting operations that are going on in there, and then just the natural hazards that are in the area. So every day we meet with our cooperators. We have scheduled meetings we have every day, and some of the topics that come up every day, we talk about road closures. We talk about, in particular, where we can and can't let people back in, and where we absolutely have to keep people out. So what we'll end up doing in those meetings, we're working with Caltrans, with the CHP, with the County Sheriff's Office, with the Emergency Operations Services from California, and we'll eventually make recommendations when we feel that it's safe. Some of the key items that we've been worrying about, not only is it the firefighting mission on the ground and the potential for fires to flare back up in some of these areas, but especially like on the Highway 36 route, it's hazard trees. It's a low level root system in a lot of our trees here, and they've been stressed. It doesn't take much wind for them to start coming over, and then we have them calling on the ground. So each day we're going through and we're removing more and more trees. We're getting it looking better and better. But as a group, we'll come together with Caltrans and with the Sheriff's Department and the CHP and come up with plans that we can find open. One of the things that we see as a positive line for us is we've had a night shift that has been out there. And at first they were working a lot in and around the homes. The last few shifts, they've been busy keeping trees and keeping the roads open. That mission's starting to slow down, so we're starting to see some improvement. But as we go forward, we've passed this on with Evans Close team. They'll be continuing at those meetings every day and evaluating every day. Eventually, we'll make a recommendation on when we feel it's safe, and then the other entities will weigh in on when they think it's safe, and we'll get the roads back open. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. And as Rob mentioned, at the conclusion of all those discussions with cooperators that he's mentioned, when there is a change in the status of the road closures and evacs, we will work together, as Rob mentioned, with all those cooperators to share that information with the public as soon as possible. And that'll be on Facebook, on each of the relevant National Forest Facebook pages, on NCWeb, as well as the Trinity County OES, Trinity County Sheriff's Office, Office of Emergency Services and Sheriff's Office Facebook pages, so that information gets out. So we want to get that information to folks as soon as it's changed. But as Rob said, those discussions are ongoing. Looking at the questions that are coming in right now, a lot of your questions, understandably so, are related to that we just talked about the evacuations and the road closures. So I'm going to turn our time back over to the Northeast and back to Bobby.
Thanks, Chris. So we've been monitoring our questions that have been coming in over here on the northeastern zone through Facebook. And one of the questions we've been getting involves firing or burnout operations, how that's used as a tactic for fire suppression. And for that, we'd like to bring in our Deputy Operations Section Chief, Britt Davis.
Good evening again. That's a great question. Usually the biggest reason we get into firing operations has to do with firefighter safety. And a great example is the piece we've got going on over in the Little Bear Wallows. So, if you can do it and get it burned in favorable conditions, it's really a very safe way to do it, where fire pulls away from firefighters rather than coming at them. You can fight fire. An individual firefighter can handle flame lengths about this tall. Anything more than that, we have to back off and get out of the way. So anytime we have a chance to send fire back in on itself like you do with a burnout, it's a big improvement for firefighter safety. Another thing has to do with the inability to even get into them. And this, again, as an example, in this Bear Wallow Creek, the very bottom of that drainage is nothing but cliffs. We literally can't get down there and fight fire in there safely. There's no option available to us. But we do have, when we get the right conditions, like winds coming out of the northwest, we can bring fire down that drainage, and the winds will just blow it right down onto itself. And it's just a much, much safer operation that, we've got pre-established lines that we can hold from that, in this case, we've got hose lays already in place. So it's just a safer operation. It's a lot of times more effective, but it's not always, it's not always going to work for you. One of the things we don't like to do is defensive burning. And that's when it's a last-ditch effort and you wait too long and we light it when the winds are going against us. And 9 times out of 10, when you have a burn that goes wrong, in fact, probably 99 times out of 100, when you have a burn that goes wrong, It's because fire's coming at you and it's a Hail Mary, and fire's gonna blow over you anyway, but maybe you can pull off that burn. And so a lot of times when you see that happen, it was that, or just let the fire blow over the line anyway. But anytime you have favorable conditions, I've in 30 years never lost a burnout when I was doing it in favorable conditions. And if we, for example, if we have to do it here, that's what we're doing right now, is we're waiting for those favorable conditions where we have a really high probability of success.
Thank you, Britt. Another question we have that's come in is, what does it take to call fire line contained? And what does that mean? And when and how do we get there to call fire line contained? And for that, we'd like to bring in our incident commander trainee, Jeremy Kiesling.
Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. So what does it take to call fire line contained? For a lot of our fire line, we have to put in a line that we dig either by hand or by machine, dozer, and we dig it down to mineral soil so that nothing else can burn through that line. And it's a barrier to fire spread. So that's one system we use. Another is we put hose down and then wet the area to keep the ignition source down, put out any flame, and keep any embers from blowing across the line. So those are some of the things we use to contain a fire and to keep it from spreading. And you see the percentage contained, that's the percentage of contained line that we have on a fire. So other previous fires that help in slowing and suppressing wildfire is definitely helps. The older the burn, like if it's a couple years old, depending on the vegetation that grew back and what type of vegetation it is, if it's dry grass or brush, definitely limits spread. But the drier it is, the more susceptible it is to allowing fire to spread. So, thank you.
Okay, and I think the last question we're going to get to tonight involves, why do we have so many different management teams that seem to rotate in and out? Wouldn't it be more advantageous just to have one team stay throughout the duration of the fire? And for that, we're going to bring in our incident commander, Tony DeMasters.
Great, thanks, Bobby. Yeah, so on the August complex, there's been a lot of incident management teams that have come and gone. And so a couple of the reasons why this happens is because through direction and policy, we're mandated to a work to rest guidelines. This is for a lot of federal teams. And so for standards, we start with 14. If we can extend to 21, much like the Pacific Northwest team, Rob's team has done, they've extended to 21. And sometimes if you're really out there and teams are hard to come by, you could extend out to 30. And so those times are very rare. So with Great Basin Team 2 here, we're about halfway through our 14 days. And so we'll be looking to a transition sometimes the first part of next week. And so once we start going through that, the intent there and the end state we're going to be looking for is whatever we're going to be looking for towards that transition with the next organization is that we want to put them in the best place possible for that success to continue with suppression efforts, as well as anything that's going to be on the repair side of things too. Collecting hose or pumps and things of this nature, but also too what's going to be very, very important is the continued coordination between the counties that we've already started with of our previous predecessor. We're going to carry that forward and we're going to be passing that on to the next organization that'll be taking place of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. So that's going to do it for us here on the Northeast Zone. For questions at this time, I'm going to go ahead and send it down to the Southwest Area Team 1 on the South Zone.
I wanted to address one of the common questions we've been receiving the past few days. A lot of folks are curious to know about hunting access. I do want to emphasize the August Complex South Zone fire area closure on the Mendocino National Forest does remain in effect. That does mean that hunting and recreation are prohibited in that closure at this time. The key reason for that, there are still many safety hazards in that area. There's a lot of hazard trees that may fall, especially in high winds. So again, that closure remains in effect for your safety. Some folks have had questions about private property access within that closure. Those questions can be addressed to the forest. We can share the phone number for how to contact the forest with those questions directly in the chat below our feed here tonight. Another question we received earlier today that I wanted to address was some anticipated effects on the water, and is anybody looking at that? And I wanted to assure folks, we are also working in coordination with the Burned Area Emergency Response Team that's assigned to the forest here, working with the local unit, and they're looking at those impacts. So they are currently in an assessment phase. They do have a hydrologist that is part of that team. So as they continue with their assessments their reports will include those hydrological effects that they're looking at. So their information is available on InciWeb. They have a separate page, but it's also available. It's under the August Complex Post-Fire BEAR, which stands for Burned Area Emergency Response. It's under that BEAR InciWeb page. So with that, we will transition it back over to the CAL FIRE Team 5 over on the West Zone to address any additional questions from that area.
Thank you, Michelle. We do have a couple questions that were brought to our attention earlier. One of those questions is, I've noticed some dozer lines that were built on my property. Am I going to have to pay to fix that? Another question was from the Redwood Valley. I've seen a lot of aircraft being used. Is the fire still active in the area? To answer those questions, we'll have our Deputy Operations Chief, Chris Trinidad.
Good evening, I'm Chris Trinidad. So the question regarding the dozer line on the private properties that are out there, the answer to that is no, you will not have to pay to repair your property. After a wildland fire, we have our folks come through. They're called the suppression repair folks. We have them come in and they rehab the dozer line that was put in that we ultimately used as containment lines. Part of that rehab, we use fire suppression repair specialists that come in. They identify water drainage. They identify the proper routes that the water needs to travel, as far as the groundwork that needs to be done to kind of match the topography that was there. So our teams come through and they handle that back to its state that it was prior. The fuels will eventually grow back into that area, and the goal is to make it look like the dozers were not in there. The second question of the aircraft, we have a Ukiah helibase is where all of our helicopters are. The Redwood Valley area where they're flying over is in the direct flight path of those helicopters. That's been there for approximately the 44 to 46 days that CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 5 has been here on the West Zone. So those helicopters are day in and day out from the time that they can come in till the time that they cut off in time. And in the past few days specifically, we've been flying a lot of helicopters to mitigate the issues that come from our backfire operation, as well as assisting the other zones with some water dropping missions in the area of Hellhole Canyon. Thank you very much.
I believe that concludes our questions that have been posed to us. I'll turn it back to Chris in the Northwest Zone.
All right, thank you. I want to thank all of you for taking the time tonight to tune in and watch and for staying informed about the August Complex. I want to thank all of our partners on each of the zones for their time in the presentations tonight. And I also want to thank our sign language interpreter for making that available. Again, we're going to continue to share the information that we've been sharing on InciWeb. That's INCIWEB.gov, and you can search for August Complex. So information will continue to come through there, as well as being posted on the Shasta Trinity Facebook page, the Six Rivers National Forest Facebook page, and the Mendocino National Forest Facebook page, as well as continuing from CAL FIRE Team 5 on the Mendocino and Humboldt Unit Facebook pages. You will continue to get information from all of the zones as they continue to manage this incident. And again, any changes to any evacuations, any changes to the fire will be shared through those various channels. Again, I want to thank everybody for their time tonight, for your time, for being with us, all our partners. And I want to thank you from Pacific Northwest Team 2. As you've heard, again, this is our last day on this fire, and Evans Quo's Great Basin team will be assuming command tomorrow. As far as future public meetings, those will be announced through all of those channels that I spoke about earlier and through our updates that get sent out daily. And we look forward to continuing to serve you and providing you with information. Thank you, everybody.